Hello, everyone, and welcome to this panel on schooling. So it seems like we have no MC, and we don't want to decide which one of us is going to be the MC. So we're just going to chat casually about the topic, maybe answer some of your questions, and explore that field of education, which is so important for the youth and even yourself, because, learning and studying doesn't stop when you're an adult. It's a long journey. I guess as a first MC of this panel of MC, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and maybe tell us a bit what you do.
Hey, I'm Pablo. I'm a developer, mostly working on Nostr stuff. I've been what's relevant to the topic. I was a prisoner of the schooling system. Now I became a radical for unschooling or child-led education. I've been doing world schooling with my family. I have a 5-year-old and an 8-month-old. And we've been traveling after reading this guy's book. We've been traveling the world for the past 3-ish years. And I'm super excited about this topic. I think it goes very, very, very well with all the freedom tech stuff that we're working on. It's another side of the same thing.
I'm Daniel Prince. I'm host of the Once Bitten podcast and author of the book he just referenced called Choose Life, which is a book about how my wife and my family that are just back there escaped the fiat system. We actually escaped the fiat system before we even found Bitcoin. So that was an interesting journey. I went down both rabbit holes at the same time: unschooling, world schooling, finding Bitcoin. It was a whole mess in my brain, but once you taste freedom, you can't go back. So happy to be on the panel, and we're going hostless, as Rogzy said. So if anybody has any questions at any point, just put your hands up and, let's open source the questions and get it going nice and early. So over to you, Alex.
Thank you so much. So my name is Alex. I'm the host of the Wildlife Unschooling podcast. And as well, I've been traveling with my child for quite some time. We left Germany because I wasn't really okay with the school system there. And I found out, I'm not okay with the school system anywhere. So now I try to teach people about unschooling and that we don't really need any form of centralized education. And as everyone loves decentralized money here, you should love decentralized education.
Hi, I'm Sylvia. I'm a full-time mom and I'm the founder of A Place to Be, an unschooling sanctuary for families who fiat-proof their children. And it's got placed here in Madeira. My girls are 7 and 4 years old. They've never been to school or nursery. And it's going to continue this way until they decide what they want to study later on in a bit more formal education. But to me, everybody's got the same rights as a human, and that's from the day we're born. And that's how I've tried to raise my children as much as possible. Of course, there's the conditioning, because I have gone through normal schooling, which has had a mainly negative impact on me, and that's why I want to do a better job with my kids. And also what's part of this is working on this conditioning to not pass on those negative beliefs and unconscious behaviors. That for me is goes hand in hand together.
Are there any homeschoolers in the crowd? Anybody that's actually, yes? Who went through homeschool? Who was homeschooled themselves? All right, cool. So few. So, there should be plenty of questions then. But, Pablo, let's go with you. Why? Why did you decide to follow this path?
When I went through the school system, I had a lot of curiosity about a bunch of subjects, and I was told over and over and over that I needed to pay attention to this topic at this time, and I had to be excited about this thing at this particular moment. I absolutely hated every second of it. I was a very mediocre student because I really, really fought very hard against it, and I realized that I don't want my family to go through that. I don't want my kids to go through that. So to me, putting them through a system where compliance is the measure of success, obeying some hierarchy. More into the mic.
say maybe involved on like practice or sound like I be little bit less.
Okay. So yeah, that's the why is that. I mean, to me, the question is it's a little bit like fiat. It's became the default. Is the way we are born into this world where there's this fiat money and there's all these hierarchies of an errand bureaucrats. And the why, it's more, why should I put my child through this system, which is a fairly new system within the context of humanity. It's a fairly new system. It's optimized to create at scale a bunch of employees and a bunch of people that will obey and pay taxes and all these things. So why would I do it? And I cannot find a single compelling answer. The few pseudo answers were dispelled by your book about, how are you going to make friends? And all these very naive questions that when you spend 5 minutes thinking about it, or with kids, you realize that it's not a problem whatsoever. So yeah, that's my why.
So you brought up something there about how you hated, and I've defaulted to panel host, by the way, about how you hated school, and I think that's probably a shared common experience amongst most people here. And you guys started like nodding when I said, trauma, and if you want to riff on that, because we were on a panel yesterday in the kids' tent, and Lauren's question was, what was the worst moment of school? And I challenge everybody to think about that. What was your worst memory of school, and how did that make you feel? Because I guarantee you're still carrying that baggage somewhere, and this is what Rob, your husband, does a lot of work about. So yeah, if you want to take over from there, and let's make sure these microphones are working well.
So I think when I think back of my time in school, I think it's like I always had this feeling in my chest like I'm not at the right place and I want to be free. And why is that forbidden? And everyone was like punching me for like wanting to be free and explore the world. And I had to sit in that fucking classroom. And I don't say it's for every child the same situation, but it's for me emotional abuse. And you are pressed into a very specific program that you have to just fit in. And we are not supposed to fit in. We are very individual. We have all our own paths that we need to discover on that planet. We all have our own way to develop whatever is inside of us. And I think in school, I always felt like I'm completely insane, stupid, just waste, trash, because I wasn't complying with whatever they were doing. I wasn't stupid in any way. I was a very good student, but just because I didn't give a shit about what was happening over there. And when I was done with school, I was insane enough to study for 10 years, had the same experience there. And then I came to the conclusion when I had my baby, and now he's 10, and I was holding him for the first time, and I was like, dude, I'm not going to do this to you. I'm just not okay with that. And then my parents were like, yeah, but we all have to go through it. And I was like, dude, we actually don't. Like, I don't see the point in being pressed into a system that hates me. That is practically hate every day in your life, in your face. And then you have this pressure of fitting into something that is not well done, first of all, and it's not for you. They don't love you. It's the opposite of what we should be doing altogether, I guess. And I've been to the jungle, and I've seen jungle kids being so fucking happy with all their shit. And they were so fucking smart. And just no comparison to the happiness that I see in unschooled kids. They're so open-minded. They are thriving, and they are not afraid. And to get rid of all that has been done to you is lifelong work. Do we really want that? Especially me, for my kid, I didn't want him to go through that kind of programming. And we tried school in different locations, let's say it like that, like free school and regular school. But in a regular school, he was confronted with physical abuse through a teacher. And this is like crossing millions of lines. I mean, physical abuse is something that is visibly, but, if it's about emotional abuse, nobody is thinking about that, because for everyone it's normal to abuse your kids at home, at school. You're being abused at work, in the supermarket most of the times, because people don't care about your soul. It's more or less like, slavery. I'm very sorry to say this. And if you ever compare the prison to a school, you will see there's not much difference between the facilities, I guess. So this is something, for me, quite crazy to see.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And what comes to mind is that children... Okay, yeah, that sounds better. So the thing is, children, of course, when they're born and even later in life, they have no choice but to believe their parents and to follow what they want for their kids. So, and if you see what you're doing to your children and they're not enjoying themselves, like how many kids do you see skipping on the way to school, or like getting up and saying, yes, I'm going to go to school. I can't wait. I want to be there at 7 a.m. I want to learn and I want to hear what this teacher has to say. Like, how many of you have experienced that yourself, and how many of you who have kids have seen that? And like, what do you want for your children? Do you have a responsibility for your children? Do you want them to walk out the door and go skipping along the road and, explore the world and find friends and find, no matter what age, you can, like a 6-year-old can make friends with a 60-year-old and they'll have a bond and they'll learn from another? Or do you want your child to be depressed and cry before or when you drop them off at nursery or school? And you can see like what's the word again? Compound effect of that. You see that for a day, you see that for a year. If you go through kindergarten and school, that's like, depending on what time they sent you off or you sent them off, it can be like 18 years of that. So do you want them 18 years of skipping along the road and doing what they want, what they love, or do you want them 18 years of crying and then suppressing the crying? And somehow they will stop crying, they will just comply and they will do as they're told, but it's damaging, it's traumatizing, and you also damage your relationship because you're the one who has the choice to either give them this or that path.
No, you're super interesting. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Rogzy. I'm building Plan B Network, which is a Bitcoin university with online classes, and we try to make physical courses. I understand like the passion and the why you need to do it. Maybe where I want to bring the conversation to you is like, what are the tools that are needed? Like my job is literally to create courses, to build a platform with educational content, try to make gamification, use the Lightning technology to make it fun and interactive for adults and children. And so my point for me and maybe for the audience, our builders here trying to create the solution for the kids. And I don't have kids personally, but I know I will probably not put them in the school system. So I was thinking like, what is the best thing we can build for them to learn in the future? So how would you say you need to have the tools online? Is it physical tools that need to be shipped to your houses or where you are? And then you make like activity with the student, the kids to learn them about Lightning. Like how would you want the Bitcoin community to move forward, building the right tools for fun education for kids? And I see many people here building like super cool board game or Piggy Lightning. So yeah, I'm just curious, what is the thing that you've seen that is the most efficient, and what is missing in the Bitcoin more specific case that we should be building for your kids? So weird questions, but I don't know, changing the direction.
For me, I like seeing. I think the benefit of unschooling and child-directed education is the fact that you can apply what works for your kid at each individual moment, and you don't have to have a system that works for 1 million or 10 million or 6 billion kids. Is what works for my kid at this time for this interest. So I think the basic tool is paying attention. Like, what are their interests, and just allow them to explore. The other side of that is that, again, on the margins, from my perspective, my kid tends to focus on the things that she knows, that she's comfortable with. So I think part of my job is exposing her to different sides, to different things that are possible. Because if she's playing with dolls all day, that's her world. She doesn't know that there's a ball and she can play with the ball, that she can go for a swim, that she can build something with blocks, whatever it might be. So I think it's a lot about showing her that there is other stuff. I think world schooling works great for that because you are in a very explicit way breaking their world basically and rebuilding it somewhere else. And we went to Thailand, which is very different to Costa Rica, where we were before. So you find new routines, you find new people, and it's a very simple way, very organic way of exposing the kids to different things. So I think that's the main tool. I don't think you can build a business around it, but maybe when she's whatever, like 10 or 12 or 15, something like that, I'll have different answers. But to me, it's just paying attention is the foundation.
Efficiency.
What I found quite interesting as a journalist, this one, is censorship-free media. Because whenever my kid is exploring something, he is crossing like boundaries in terms of research. But for example, Nostar, he's a Nostar. He loves reading that stuff. So we need more censorship-free platforms for people like us sharing educational stuff, because I'm being censored all the time online. And I don't really see why that has to be. We all have the tools. So we need to support each other and create this digital safe rooms for them to explore whatever's out there. And I want to mention, because we were talking about that, some people are like, but are they lacking skills, or you know what I mean? Are they missing out on stuff they could learn in school and blah, blah? Do you really use that shit you learned in school? Me, personally, not really. So all the stuff that I'm using right now for my job, whatever, I taught myself. So, and I see it way more efficient if a kid is at home in peace, loved, and has a great surrounding of people who are supporting. They will grow and they will learn so much more than they could ever learn in school. Because I can now say that with like security, because in the beginning I wasn't very sure about how my kid will turn out. For me, it was an experiment. But now, 10 years later, I'm very sorry to say that, he's bulletproof. Who's gonna shit on him? Nobody can, because he knows how life is working. So I'm pretty convinced that this Bitcoin community was part of me being maybe strong enough to pull that through and to give my child the not only financial background, but also censorship-free media access and whatsoever. And of course, the community. I think we as Bitcoiners, we need to share a lot more when it comes to family and education, because I think a lot of people here I meet and I talk to are all into Bitcoin. And then if I just mention unschooling, they're like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, dude, it's what you are doing right now. You are deschooling, unschooling yourself. And we should be a community to support the next generation of us, because this is just the beginning. But we need to think about our next generations. And clearly, this is what we should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And to bring it back to what you were asking about practical solutions and things like that. And that is the default kind of question for people that are considering homeschooling. So those of you who are here, you're probably considering it. That's probably why you're here listening to this talk. And I was told off by my wife the other day because I'm way too radical when it comes to talking about unschooling. But these guys, you know, like, wow, like, yeah, they want the mic all the time. And another thing. So I can play it a little bit softer. You're going to default straight away to trying to be the teacher in the kitchen, and you're going to default to going online and trying to find a curriculum. So you're just bringing school to the home, and that doesn't work. Like, it just does not work. But that's kind of like your rite of passage. It's kind of like shitcoining to find Bitcoin. You know, that rite of passage. You're going to have to shitcoin with your homeschooling methods to find what works with you. And then when you realize, like, the ultimate is, for us, I think, unschooling or self-led directed education, following in the footsteps of the work of Peter Gray and John Holt and reading their books and John Taylor Gatto as well. And putting the trust back into the fact that that little thing in front of you is learning every single second of every single day. And who has the right to define what learning is? Well, the people that designed the school system, they believe they have the right to define what education is and define the right of and define what learning is, and they preordained themselves to certificate you for that as well. They have the certification rights, so they can just keep you completely oppressed and held down. Whereas as soon as you let a kid go in the wild, so to speak, and just watch them learn and sit back, and depending on the different ages and the different stages, you're talking about building blocks and whatever else, it could be like perhaps a teenager wants to start learning a musical instrument. Buy a secondhand musical instrument. Don't buy them lessons or anything like that straight away. Just have it there. So we don't need to build the things. The things are built, but we just need to get in the way at the right time. Parent. There's a novel idea, right? So take back the power of your kids. Take back the power of your family, because outsourcing it to the state, the amount of times we would have all been called irresponsible parents because we've taken our kids out of the education system. That's totally paradoxical. We have complete responsibility over our kids' education system now, like we have responsibility over our money. So if you've separated money from state, you will separate education from state. And it's important to, because if we just keep feeding that beast, the hearts, minds, bodies, and souls of our kids, we're not going to break this thing. Not even Bitcoin is going to fix that, because freedom money comes with a mindset. And if we can all build together and learn together and have that creativity, which is not being stamped out in a classroom setting, asking a 7-year-old to do low-grade clerical work for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, is fucking nonsense. So that's my rant. And there's a question here.
Like, from a practical point of view, like, there are a lot of people who have, families who have
speaking right to the top. Yep.
2 jobs, essentially no time. It's all good if you have a reasonable income and you've got the time to dedicate to your kids, the time to dedicate to their education. But if you're working 2 jobs to make ends meet, it's just not practical for some people to have their kids around all day. They don't, because they're not there all day. So what can you recommend for families who want to do that but kind of feel trapped in the system, and how can they begin to get out of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, make that change. Step up.
Yeah, and also make more income. Make your bed, right? You have a shitty job and you make no money. Make money. You can create a lot of value. There is a lot of mediocrity in the system. If you think outside the box, you'll find ways of making money. Make money and teach your kids how to make money. That's value, right? It's just focusing on how to extract value from somewhere else, or sending your kids to the fiat school because it's free. It's just perpetuating the same shitty, broken system. So think outside the box. If you're here, you already have done the big leap of realizing that you are surrounded by this system that it feels like it's how nature works, but it's full bullshit. Do the next leap and create value, make an income, and you'll find the time to spend it with your family.
So on that point, how can I convince, for example, my brother and sister-in-law that that's a good idea? Because I talk to them about Bitcoin and Bitcoin-related things, and they go, nah. So,
I have something to say, because I hear that question often, and I'm a single mom, and I made it. So there is a way, and it's almost always your mental problems or mental barriers that are holding you back from whatever you need to do. And I don't say it's easy. I don't say I'm a millionaire. I'm far from that. And of course, it's a different lifestyle if you have your kid around and you need to work, but they do need to work as well. They are occupied. So it's not like I'm at home and I'm the clown for my kid. He's doing his stuff and I'm doing my work. And I'm a single mom. I could do it. Everyone can do it because I'm not the best person in this world. I'm just regular and I did it. So I guess most of the times it's just in your head.
Yeah, and I think it's a matter of priority. Like if it seems like it's not your case, it's extended family. So they have to see that, what's more important, they both work, that why do they both need to work? Because they live in a certain place where they have a certain amount of bills and things to pay. But if their kids' childhood, their upbringing is more important to them, then they'll find a way. They can move, they can find another job, they can make more money. There's always a way. So if you make this your first priority, you'll find a way.
Another question.
Okay.
Yes. Hello. I did unschooling with my kids, but there is one question that's I think it's very important, probably for many people. School is mandatory in most states, and how are you? What is your experience with that? How do you go around this topic? Because that's what most of us. That's a real problem.
There's a solution. It's called West River Academy. It's like an umbrella school, but also a real school. And they are covering almost worldwide every country in terms of legal stuff. And you can always travel and you can always move to communities that are supporting you. And I need to say, I'm living in a country where it's almost illegal what I'm doing. But if you're talking to the people, they will understand. And if you're really truthful and honest, you will find a way, I guess. And I know it's crazy, but the more we are, the less are the opportunities to stop us. So I guess we need to go against the law sometimes. And the more we are, the better it is for us.
To me, my family is more important than my money. And if the state where I'm at says that it's illegal to hold Bitcoin, it's illegal to coin join Bitcoin, I'll either say, fuck you, or I'll move somewhere else. If it's illegal to not brainwash my kids through the fiat educational complex, I'll move somewhere else, or I'll say, fuck you, whatever the circumstance is. But I would not in a million years say, oh, well, the state tells me that I need to waste my kids, so I'm going to waste my kids. Just find the solution.
I think we got time for one more question if there's another one out there. Stefan, is your panel ready? Have you got everybody here? Yeah? All right, cool. We'll keep on time then for you, brother.
If not, I have something to add to the question before about the, how to make it, resource, how to make it work. For me, if we look at it from first principles, for millions of years, we have developed and grown and, raised kids in a certain way, like the natural way. And this is still inside of us. So everybody here knows, deep down, it's been covered with layers and layers of conditioning. But when you were born, you had all the tools you needed to learn, to know how to learn anything for your life. We're just like animals. So when animals are born, the parents don't teach them, this is how you hunt, this is how you eat, this is how you do this and that. Animals learn by playing, and so do humans. So if there is this natural part of us, this instinctual part, and of course, we don't live in the Stone Age anymore. We live in a modern world, and AI is taking over. So for what I'm doing, for example, in my project, A Place to Be, is combining these two. We work on first principles. We let children just follow their natural way of learning, natural way of living, choosing what to do, how to learn something. We provide the resources, the people to support them. And of course, we provide also AI. We have an AI expert, an AI and robotics expert. Pablo will be teaching coding to the kids who are into coding. So it's really get out of the kids' way because they know best. We have all been conditioned. We don't know what's best for them to learn and how to learn. So get out of their way, provide the environment, the other kids, the right people, and the resources that are necessary for them to explore what they're interested in so they can find their passion and just continue that way for the rest of their lives once we're out of the picture, once they live their lives by themselves.
Well said. So I want to end it on this thought. Who here knows about the secret meeting on Jekyll Island in 1910, where a bunch of guys got together and decided to fuck up the money, which we are all a system of slave to? Would it surprise you? Who here has heard of the General Education Board? Okay, very few hands. So the General Education Board, that was formed in 1902. The first meeting was held in 1902. Guess what? Secret meeting, 6 or 7 guys, the same kind of characters, all got together and had a discussion on how and why they should capture the education system. In 1903, the General Education Board was formed. John D. Rockefeller funded that with $1 million. That is the system, and that is the game plan that they used for 1910, the same thing. So if you're angry as fuck over like the monetary system, which we generally all are as Bitcoiners, they pulled the same shit 8 years earlier with the education system to capture our hearts and minds. So just think about that. Our time's up. I don't want a side eye from Stefan Livera over there. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. Appreciate it.